All right, everyone. Let's talk about Draco Malfoy.
Okay.
You know, you wouldn't be here if you weren't at least a little bit fascinated by him, right?
Right.
So today, we're going to really kind of peel back the layers on him
Hmm.
and see, you know, how did he become the Draco that we meet in the pages of Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Like, what are the forces at play here?
Eps.
Family dynamics.
Yes. Internal struggles.
Yeah, and the societal pressures of the wizarding world.
Yeah.
Got to think about all those things.
Absolutely.
So are you ready to kind of dive deep and uncover what lies beneath those steely glares and that carefully crafted facade?
Oh, I am so ready.
Let's do it.
Let's get into it.
Draco's journey is a fascinating one because he starts off as this seemingly arrogant bully, right?
Right.
But as the series progresses, we start to see these glimpses of vulnerability, glimpses of inner conflict.
Uh-huh.
And to truly understand that conflict, I think we have to start with his family.
Yeah.
I mean, the Malfoys are basically wizarding royalty.
They're like old money, you know?
It's,
They have the power.
yeah, and they wield it well.
They do.
But what is it like for Draco growing up in this family?
Well, imagine having Lucius Malfoy as your father.
Oh, boy.
I mean, he's not just a pure blood supremacist, right?
Right.
He's a high-ranking official in the Ministry of Magic.
Mm-hmm.
He has direct ties to Voldemort, even before Voldemort returns.
That's right. He's like a true believer.
Yes, and he embodies ambition, he embodies power,
Right.
and he has this very, very specific worldview
Yeah.
that puts pureblood wizards at the top of the hierarchy.
Like they're the only ones who really matter.
Exactly.
And then you've got his mom,
Narcissa.
Narcissa, who is just elegance and social grace. Like
Yes.
she's the picture of, what a pureblood witch should be.
She is the epitome of that.
Yeah.
She upholds the tradition. She upholds the social expectations.
The etiquette.
Yes.
So Draco's literally surrounded by these two figures.
From the moment he's born,
Right.
who represent this very, very particular set of values.
Uh-huh.
So it's no wonder that he kind of embraces those values himself.
It's almost like he was born wearing Slytherin robes.
Exactly. He's been groomed for this.
Yeah.
And we see that playing out in his very first interactions at Hogwarts.
Right away.
Right away.
First year.
Yeah, he's dismissive of anyone who doesn't fit into this narrow view of what a wizard should be.
Uh-huh.
He bullies those he considers beneath him, like Ron Weasley.
Yeah.
And of course, there's the instant antagonism with Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah. Like as soon as they meet,
Right off the bat,
it's like oil and water.
they are not going to get along.
Yeah. And it's interesting because he even goes after Hagrid,
Yeah.
who's really like a gentle giant.
Right.
He's all bark and no bite.
Exactly.
But Draco just sees him as someone to kind of, put down.
Yes, to assert his dominance over.
Yeah. It's like he's always trying to prove something
He has to prove himself,
to his dad.
especially to his father,
Yeah.
to Lucius.
Yeah.
Remember that scene in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone? Mm-hmm. When Harry rejects Draco's offer of friendship,
Oh, yeah.
and Draco feels so insulted.
He does.
He's slighted.
Yeah.
And he says, "You'll soon find out that some wizarding families are much better than others, Potter. You don't want to go making friends with the wrong sort."
Yeah.
That statement right there encapsulates Draco's entire worldview.
Totally.
A worldview that has been carefully constructed by his parents.
Yeah, he's basically just like parroting what he's been taught his whole life.
Yes.
But-
But as the series progresses,
Yeah.
we start to see little cracks in that facade.
Oh, absolutely.
And those cracks reveal this fascinating internal conflict that's brewing within him. Because on the one hand, he wants to please his parents. He wants to uphold the Malfoy name.
Right.
But on the other hand, he's starting to experience doubt. He's starting to experience fear.
Uh-huh.
And maybe even a sense of moral conflict.
Yeah, like, is this really what I believe, or am I just saying what I'm supposed to say?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think a great example of this is in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets,
Okay.
where Draco is genuinely terrified by the basilisk.
Oh, totally.
He's
He's
scared.
putting on a brave face, right?
He's trying to keep up appearances.
Yeah, because he can't show weakness.
Exactly. But underneath it all, he's just as scared as everyone else.
Yeah.
Which reminds us that he's still a child,
Uh-huh.
caught up in this dangerous situation,
It's bigger than him.
much bigger than him.
Yeah.
And it shows that even those who are raised in privilege and power still experience fear and uncertainty.
Absolutely.
They're not immune to it.
And it makes you wonder how much of what we're seeing from him is really truly him,
Right.
and how much of it is just an act.
Exactly. Is it the mask or is it the real Draco Malfoy?
Yeah, and I think as we go through this deep dive, we'll start to see more and more of the real Draco emerge.
I think so too.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
And when we come back, we'll continue our exploration of Draco Malfoy.
Sounds good.
Stick around.
And as he gets older, those moments of fear and uncertainty, they just become more frequent,
Yeah.
especially when Voldemort returns.
Yeah, that really throws a wrench into things.
Absolutely, because Voldemort's return puts immense pressure on the Malfoys, right?
Right.
They're expected to prove their loyalty, and that burden really falls on Draco.
On his shoulders.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's that like for him?
Well, in Order of the Phoenix, Lucius is imprisoned in Azkaban.
Right.
So Draco is left feeling very vulnerable
Makes sense.
and very alone.
Yeah.
And he's desperate to prove himself to Voldemort.
To kind of regain that status.
Yeah, to restore the family honor.
Right.
And it's in that context that he joins the Inquisitorial Squad.
Oh, yeah, he becomes like a mini tyrant, right?
Exactly.
He's
right.
really got that power.
He's wielding that authority.
Uh-huh.
And he even goes so far as to mock Harry about his parents' death.
Oh, yeah. That's cold.
It's really harsh.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to the power of those societal expectations. He's internalized that pure blood ideology so much.
To a point where he's
willing to inflict pain on others to prove his loyalty.
like he's trying to fit into this role
Exactly.
that he thinks is like preordained for him.
That he's supposed to play.
Even if it means like going against what he knows is...
Right. Right. He's suppressing those doubts, those fears. He's trying to fit in.
It's like he's in a gilded cage almost.
Yes. And that entrapment deepens even further in Half-Blood Prince.
Oh, yeah.
When he's tasked with assassinating Dumbledore.
Oh, man, that's a big one.
That's huge.
Yeah.
This is where we see the true extent of his inner turmoil.
It's all coming to a head.
It is, because he is terrified.
Yeah.
He's completely out of his depth.
Uh-huh.
And he's clearly struggling with the moral implications of what he's being asked to do.
You see that scene in the bathroom with Moaning Myrtle?
Oh my gosh.
Like he completely breaks down.
He just crumbles.
It's heartbreaking.
It's so sad because you see the facade crumble and you realize he's just a scared kid.
Who's made some bad choices.
Yeah.
But he's still a kid.
He is.
And that scene, it really highlights that clash between what his family expects of him
yes.
and his own conscience.
His own emerging moral compass.
Like he's torn between those two things.
Right. Is he loyal to his family or is he going to listen to that voice inside of him?
Exactly. And it seems like he's starting to question everything he's ever been taught.
Yes, and that questioning continues into Deathly Hallows.
Okay.
He's forced to participate in the Death Eater's reign of terror,
Uh-huh.
but we see those moments of hesitation, those moments of reluctance.
Like he's not all in.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
Like when he's asked to identify Harry at Malfoy Manor,
Oh, yeah.
he hesitates.
He could have condemned Harry to certain death,
Right then and there.
but he doesn't.
He doesn't.
What do you make of that?
I think it signifies a real turning point in his moral development.
Okay.
He's not just blindly following orders anymore.
Yeah.
He's starting to think for himself. He's weighing the consequences of his actions.
Yeah.
It suggests that he's starting to break free from those expectations that have defined him for so long.
It's like he's seeing the world in shades of gray instead of just black and white.
Right. And that brings us to the big question.
Okay.
Is Draco redeemed by the end of the series?
That's the question, isn't it?
It is, because there's so much debate about whether he actually atones for what he's done.
Yeah, some fans say he deserves forgiveness.
They point to those moments of hesitation,
Yeah.
the fact that he refuses to join Voldemort in the final battle.
Right.
But others say no, he never really takes responsibility,
Yeah.
and that his change of heart is more about self-preservation
Then actually change it.
than genuine remorse.
So where do you fall in this?
Well, I think it's more nuanced than a simple yes or no,
Okay.
because there's no doubt that he makes some terrible choices
Right.
that really cause pain and suffering,
Uh-huh.
but there is also evidence that he's grown, that his moral compass is shifting. He's a product of his environment, but he also shows us that he's capable of change.
Of questioning those deeply held beliefs.
Exactly.
And that's what makes him so interesting.
So makes him compelling.
Yeah, he forces us to really confront those complexities of morality.
Absolutely.
You know, to grapple with the idea that even people who've done wrong can evolve, can choose a different path.
And maybe that's why he resonates with readers so much.
Yeah.
We see a little bit of ourselves in him,
In those struggles.
in that journey from arrogance to uncertainty to maybe even a bit of compassion.
It's a journey that we can all relate to.
Even if we have... Yeah, there's this sense that he could have been different.
Right, like if he had different parents.
Different circumstances,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that evokes empathy in some fans.
Yeah.
They see him as a victim of his upbringing.
Like he didn't really have a choice.
Well, he had to make these really difficult choices
Yeah.
in a world that didn't offer him a lot of options.
Right, but on the other hand, some people just, they can't get past the bullying,
Right.
the prejudice.
They see him as someone who never truly faces the consequences of his actions.
Yeah, like he gets away with it.
And that's a valid perspective, too.
Yeah.
Because he does inflict pain on others.
Yeah, he does.
And he doesn't always show remorse for that.
Right.
So I think it's up to each individual to decide whether they can forgive him.
Whether he's really capable of change.
Exactly.
It's interesting, though, that we're still talking about this.
I know.
All these years later.
Years after the books ended.
Yeah, it really speaks to how complex this character is. I mean, J.K. Rowling did a great job of creating someone who just defies easy categorization.
Right.
And she's even said that she sees him as a tragic figure.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
He could have been good,
He had the potential.
but the environment just kind of warped him.
That toxic environment, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what makes him such a fascinating subject for a deep dive like this.
Absolutely.
Because he makes us think about nature versus nurture.
The power of societal expectations.
Yeah.
The possibility of redemption.
Yeah. And whether someone can truly change.
Right.
Well, I think we've covered a lot today.
I think so, too.
We've explored his family, his internal struggles, the pressure that he was under, and we even pondered that question of redemption.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest takeaway is that there's just so much more to uncover.
Absolutely. There's so much more to discuss.
So keep thinking about Draco.
Yeah. Revisit the books.
Yeah, draw your own conclusions about this very complex character.
And who knows, maybe you'll even find yourself feeling a little bit of sympathy for the boy who lived in the shadow of the dark mark.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those wands at the ready.